All right, we're back with our third and hopefully final video for tooling floral corner number 3. Got our leather cased up and it's still looking just a little bit wet. So probably are not gonna wanna go ahead and do our shading right now. But while we're waiting on that to dry just a little bit, we can go ahead and catch our mule's foot. This is a Berry King mule's foot. I don't know what size. I believe it's a number 1 or a number 2. It's a pretty small mule's foot. And I like to use this tool on my stumps. So we'll come in and put one right there. And I run my first one pretty heavy and then just decrease on the pressure on those as I go out. So I'll hit that several times on these stumps, just decreasing in that pressure as we go. And just work it back and fade those out. And that's how I like to decorate my stumps. There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different things you can do, but that's what I do with them. Kind of one of those deals, just play with it until you find something that you like. There's seen a lot of really cool and creative ways to kind of dress these stumps up, but I would recommend doing something to differentiate the stump from the rest of your vine work. All right, we'll go ahead and grab our first thumbprint. So this is a Berry King thumbprint. This one is the horizontal. Not real sure on the size, but it's definitely one of the smaller ones. And that will be handy when we get into some of these scallops on these flowers. There is a small end and a large end of your thumbprint. You can use both of them. So throughout this process, I might say that I switched to the small end, but there's two ends, and Barry does a really nice job of rounding both of them off, so you can use both of them. So we're going to start out on this big end, and we're just going to work around the center of these flowers, and we're going to run some lines out. Really kind of the goal of this is to have the middle of the petal have the longest lines on it. So we're going to start here on this dominant petal, run it out a little heavier in the middle, and then lightly kind of fade that out. And kind of do the same thing all the way around on these. When you get to like this petal down here, there's not a whole lot you can use. I will switch to the small end and then just kind of put one tap in there. Just because most of this petal is covered up, so we're not trying to do nearly as much on there. There's one done, and you're not really doing a whole lot there, but a lot of that small stuff really adds up in your tooling and starts adding a lot to it. Go around and keep doing the same thing. And then I hit my flower center just a little bit there. Same deal, we can go in, reset that, and fix that up real quick. Alright, so we already got all of our centers done with this thumbprint. Now we're just going to take this same thumbprint on the wide end, and I'm going to run down the center of this leaf. I'm going to rotate this tool as we're coming in. So when we start off, I'm going to be running a lot more this way. And then I'm just rotating that tool as we come down. And by the time we get down here, I'm running this way. So you're taking that tool and twisting just a little bit as you go. with this tool rocked back in this way. This tool is one that you're almost never going to put flat down and hit. It's always going to be rocked one direction or another, just because we never want the full impression of that tool. Do the same thing on this side, up, down, and then we're pointing this way by the time we get down there. Alright, so that's all of our centers there. Now we're going to go ahead and grab some of the outside of these petals. Now I usually like to start in the center. You'll see there's always a scallop that looks a little different in the center of these petals. So that's just kind of where I usually like to start. And then there we're going to come in with whichever side of your thumbprint fits better. We want to kind of fill up these scallops. We're not running all the way out here on this edge, but we're coming in just a little bit and kind of making a ridge that comes around the outside of here. Work our way down and around, getting each one of those. When you get up to some of these, it's a little bigger than we can fill. So we're going to come in and we're going to walk that tool around, almost kind of like how you do with a beveler. So we're going to start a little heavier up here and then work that down lighter around there, and that gives a really nice effect right there, where if we just did one hit like that, it doesn't really fill that space up like that does over there. Always kind of making sure that each time we set one of these stamps, we're always facing these lines back to the center. Always want everything in your flower pulling back to that center. Again, any of those spots that thumbprint doesn't completely fill it up, I'm going to walk it around in there until it does. Alright, so there's one flower completely shaded, and I'll give y'all a little better look at what's going on there. Feel free to pause the video and really study that if you like. And again, that's how I do it. There's a million ways to skin a cat, but that's how I do it. Alright, so on these flowers, it looks like we're probably going to be using the smaller end of this thumbprint. Be careful on these when you're getting down in these petals right here. You may have to rock that thumbprint up back a little bit more to keep you from getting onto this petal over here. one of our small flowers done. And here, catch this other one. Alright, here's our other flower. Now we can run in here and catch some of these ends of these vines. I guess we'll start at the top and work our way down. I'm going to use the big end of this thumbprint. We're going to come in. I'm probably going to start light and fade in. We're going to come in and then catch that end right there. And then, not really gonna fade out on there, but we're gonna start light over here and then come in and work down heavier and then leave it right there. Just making kind of, again, that ridge up on the outside of there. And then on these, we're gonna come in and then rotate that thumbprint to kind of face down. So we came in with the thumbprint facing this way and rotated around, and then now it's facing up and more towards the flow of this. Always like to make sure your shading is highlighting the flow of the rest of the work. So if you're, whether that be on a vine, on a flower, or whatever it is, I like for those shade lines to come in and help establish that flow. And looks like I skipped a little piece of background in the last video, so we will come in and catch that real quick. It's all right. All right. Got everything gone through, and we have went ahead and shaded everything that needs to be shaded. Nope, actually we have not. We've still got to catch some of the outsides of these leaves. So we just used a horizontal line thumbprint. Now I am actually going to switch over to a vertical line thumbprint. So that is it. It is a little different. So the other ones have got lines going this way. This one, the lines actually go this way. And I don't use this tool nearly as much, but I do like it on the outside of these leaves. Just gives it a little bit different look and kind of helps differentiate the leaves from the flowers a little bit. But kind of the principles of running this tool are the same as the other. Nothing really changes. Just gives a little different look. Give you a little closer look at where we're at after we've got all of our shade work done. And feel free to pause the video again, take a closer look, anything like that. Give you a chance to do that. All right, so we are done with our maul. I'm gonna go ahead and put that away, and we'll see if we can't get some decorative cuts going. So decorative cuts can be tricky. Everybody's kind of got a little different style. I can show you how I like to cut them. Feel free to cut them the exact same way, or branch out and try something different. Really, you can get a lot of your own style into a pattern with how you do your decorative cuts. So let's get started. I am going to start with our flowers, and then I will come in and probably get this leaf, and then we'll get some vines. So when I'm running decorative cuts, really good to have a nice sharp knife. The last thing you want to be doing is fighting a knife when you're trying to make really pretty cuts. So with that being said, I'm going to come in and I'm going to start near the center towards the end of this flower, and then I'm going to run one nice line with some curvature in there in the center, and then I'm going to run one more that starts a little bit away from it, and as we're coming towards the center of the flower, we're getting closer. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Same thing on the other side. Boom. That is how I like to run my decorative cuts. And I'm just going to kind of repeat that process as we run around here. It's not really rocket science, but I think it's clean and I like the way it looks. So that's how I run my decorative cuts. Really, really important on your decorative cuts. Fade in your cuts as well as fade them out. Really does show up a lot in these. I also like for my center line to be the longest. I think that it gives them a lot better look. I also like for each line on the opposite sides of that center line to mirror each other. So this is my center line here. This line starts on both sides of this major line. They start in very, very similar places. I think that really gives you the best look. So that's that flower after we've got our decorative cuts in there. And then Same sort of deal on all these other flowers. Alright, and there we are after we've got our decorative cuts in there. Now we're going to come in and catch these leaves. Or leaves, there's just one. But and then I'm pretty simple on how I do my leaf cuts. I just come in and I'll do one cut with each scallop. Kind of like that. And I won't even do a cut on that very end scallop right there. That's all I'm gonna do to that leaf. I'm gonna come in and start getting our end of our vines. So I'll usually do 2 to 3 cuts on these vines. Really just trying to accent that flow. So here we're gonna come in, I'm gonna start right in here. I'm gonna run down like that, and then I'll put one more line below that, a little bit shorter, and then maybe one more even shorter than that below it. Yep, do one more. That's all I'm gonna do on it. Again, all we're really trying to do is accent that flow. And then really just repeat the process. These are only gonna get 2 cuts. Get them done. I'll show you those. See those? Only got 2 cuts on these. But we're really just trying to help accent that flow with our decorative cuts. Same deal on that one. One kind of trend that you're probably noticing is my lines are the first line's the longest, and then shorter again. The other thing, these start out away from this one and working closer. They never go farther out, or closer together and go farther out with your flow. All right, there's all of our decorative cuts. All right, and then I've got one last step, really pretty optional and up to personal preference, but I kind of like the way it looks, and I think it can do some really cool things to your flowers. So I've just got a stylus here. Nothing really fancy about it. Berry King happens to make this one, but it doesn't matter. And so we are going to help give our flowers a little bit more direction in where they're looking. So we're going to take this stylus and we're gonna say this flower is probably looking that way, up that direction. So we're gonna come in on the far side over here of this, and we're just gonna put a little, we're just gonna put a little dot there. You can kind of see what that ended up doing for us and kind of the overall look of that flower. Help show the viewer that that flower is looking up and out that way. And then, so this flower, the way it's positioned, it's kind of looking down over here. So we're gonna come in on this side of it and push and just put a little dot there. Same thing over here. This one's looking up in this way. I'm gonna come in on that side of that and do something like that. And that is where we are at, folks. I hope this video was helpful and informative. Last, certainly not least, huge thank you to anyone that did purchase the pattern. I really appreciate it. Well, thank you all. This has been Ransom Welch with Diamond Debbie Leathercraft. Have a great rest of your day.